April 10th. We are into day 4 of the Dream Garage build. I wanted to show you guys how things are coming along. These 3 guys putting into this building are extremely hard workers. They were here till almost 11 o'clock last night working on this. I like how the guy's got his level with him the whole time. This building is really coming together now that the paneling is going up. Loving the color choice we went with here because our house is white with black trim. The shop the same way is really gonna set it off nice. Man, the more they do, the more exciting it gets. We'll have all this outside paneling done shortly. If that's when the lean-to is going to start, or if the start on the roof. That's pretty incredible to see. I'll give you guys some more updates later. Just wanted to come out here and show you the progress. So you can see what's going on. Walk you around to the back. You can see the wall that's mostly finished. I haven't mentioned it yet in these short clips because I'm planning on doing a long-form video on this garage build. But I did purchase this building locally here in Florida from a company called Big Buildings Direct out of Tampa. I had a great experience with them. Salesman Garrett was really helpful for me. Has worked with me quite a bit. This process took such a long time from my initial shopping around to designing the building. And then of course dealing with all the stuff with the permits. Depending on where you live, it can be easy or it can be difficult. Again, I'm in Central Florida here. Big Buildings Direct, and also the manufacturer, Steel Buildings. And this crew so far looks to be like they've done some excellent work here. Of course, we'll see once the building is complete how everything turned out. But from what I see so far, it looks like they've been doing a pretty great job on it. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in here. If you have any questions while I'm running this live, post them in the chat and I'll be glad to answer them. Or if you want to see something else close up, I'll be glad to do that for you as well. Keep in mind, any comments that are in the live video do not show up once the video is posted. So if you wonder what I'm saying, if I'm talking to somebody and you're wondering who that may be, that's just people that are posting comments on here. A couple of interesting things about this building. So in Florida, of course, we have hurricanes, and I opted for the vertical siding on this building because if you do vertical siding, you get extra strength in here with these cross beams. If you do regular horizontal siding, you do not get those cross beams in here. So you have extra rigidity in the building. I also went with 170 mile an hour certification. Of course, we know if we get 170 mile an hour winds, this thing's not going to be standing. But you see here, we have dual welded together beams. That's part of that certification that Florida enacted last year. It all depends on what you're looking for. You know, these additions did increase the cost of the building, obviously. So keep that in mind when you're shopping, you know, what you need. Depending on the state you live in too, There's things like snow loads on the roof, the pitch of the roof, all that has to come into play. Again, check out what's required in your individual area when you're shopping. My goal here, showing you guys all these live updates on this building, is I want you to get a real perspective of what goes into the construction of one of these. There's so much to research, so many things to try to figure out when you're shopping and planning for a steel building. It can get pretty overwhelming. If I had a chance to do things differently, I definitely would have tried to go with somebody who could do the entire package from concrete to the building itself as one entire package. Because dealing with the concrete company and then the building company, you've got two different companies on two different pages, and then you're the middleman to try to get things work together. And it can become a full-time job trying to coordinate. The guys are working on the front right now. We have 3 bay doors in the front, and then we've got kind of an office area here, which is where tools are going to be, some storage. And we will be putting a loft up in here. This is why I went with the 14-foot walls, is so we can do a loft on one side for storage of parts and things like that. Because you and I both know, as large as this building looks, and granted in person it looks a lot better, a lot bigger I should say, than what you see on video, but it will fill up very quickly. It's part of the reason why we did the lean-to on the outside, just to give a little extra space to park some cars or do some entertaining, whatever the case may be. So for those of you watching, anything else you want to see while I'm out here, I'll walk around to the side one more time, and then I'm going to cut the live video for now. Would have been great to have a dedicated camera just to set up here and do a time lapse so you can see the whole thing from start to finish, but I don't have that capability. So there you go. We do have another roll up. We get another bay on this side. So this door here, I originally didn't have it on the design, and then I thought it'd just be great to have additional access if I wanted to pull cars in this way. I could just store some along the back, and also for some cross ventilation. I would love to one day be able to put AC in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford that, but we'll see. Right now we've got several windows, and the way this property lies, we should be able to get some type of a breeze. The nice thing about the way the building sits is the sun starts over here and then it goes overhead. So we don't have direct sun coming in through the front doors, which is really nice. It means you're not going to be baking in the heat. So it's just a perfect combination. Other thing we got to figure out is what we're going to do back here about building this up in order to be able to get into the building. Not 100% sure what I want to do yet. Obviously I have to get some dirt trucked in here so we can build this up. This entire project, if you look, you can see how high the concrete is here. This had to be built up quite a bit because the land slopes and it goes down here. The backyard neighbor, he's got a pretty big piece of property, but it's low lying on one side, so all the rainwater goes there. Last year when we had the hurricanes, we had a lot of storm damage here. His backyard on this one side did flood. Didn't affect us at all. What I did is I went through and I cut down any tree that would encroach on the building, the limbs here. So We don't have anything directly over the building anymore, which is nice. I do have these smaller trees in the back, which I've trimmed the limbs that were closest to the building. Not sure if I'm going to keep these guys here. I don't know how tall they're going to grow. Obviously, I don't want them over the building. I may cut the tops off and try to keep them more of a kind of a shrub-like tree rather than a big tree. Hassan, I am in Florida, and the builder, or I should say the manufacturer, Steel Buildings and Structures, they actually send this crew out, so it's not like a third party that's not affiliated. So I think that's pretty good. And I had some issues with this concrete that was poured, and the really amazing thing is the building manufacturer sent out their install crew to take a look at the concrete and make sure they would be able to work with it. And that was a nice thing. It just eased my mind. If you look here, you'll see there's kind of a mismatch here, and this is due to how the concrete was poured. The building manufacturer had to do some modifications because the concrete was not poured to the right specs. And that's why I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video is if I could do it all over again, I would love to get somebody who could do everything together. Unfortunately, Big Buildings Direct, the company I use, they do not do a package deal like concrete and the building. I told them they really should find somebody that they could contract with to do that on a regular basis. It would be pretty awesome. Yeah, Hassan, it took me probably a year and a half, maybe, of searching to try to find a company that I thought was reputable. And ultimately, if you look online, you're going to see a lot of reviews, good and bad. And I think it really comes down to mostly is whoever installs the building. Because I can tell you with the Big Buildings Direct, the sales staff, Garrett is the salesman I used here in Florida. He was awesome. I mean, the guy would even answer my questions on the weekend, when he's not working. That's how awesome he was. And has continued to be, and I've been dealing with them really for almost 2 years because we had issues here in Florida where the requirements for the state of Florida changed. Hey, it's super loud. Cut your seatbelt. Try to back it up here so you can. So you're asking the question about what I'm using the building for? Yeah, this is a garage shop. My hobby is working on vintage cars, specifically Volkswagens. And if you look at my YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of videos I have. I have never ever had a dedicated space to work on cars other than a driveway or a one-car garage space my entire life. A few years ago, I was able to buy some property out in the country. We are on a little over an acre here. You can see this is my house. That shop is in the backyard. And we have quite a bit of space here. can see my VWs over there. The building itself, the completely covered section, was supposed to be a 30 by 50, but because of the mishap with the concrete company, the building company ended up having to shorten the building a little bit. The lean-to that they're going to be building on the front takes the size, well, would have been 42 by 50. So we have 3 bays, and the one that's closest to the end over here is going to have a lift in it. But yeah, it'll be for working on vehicles and storing vehicles. This house does have a 2-car garage, but my wife will be taking over that one, and then the back one will be just for me. These guys were out here cutting metal at almost 11 o'clock last night. I told them they'd have to go home and come back in the morning because somebody's going to call the police. Even though we're out in the country, we still do have some houses that are close by. We just have a lot of nice trees that separate us from the neighbors. You look over there, you can see the neighbor's roof. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to do, Hassan, here was to add a full bathroom. But unfortunately, since COVID, the prices on everything skyrocketed. And here in Florida is ridiculously expensive. I had sold some vehicles, and when we moved, we set aside money specifically to build this project. However, just the concrete and the bare building has already encompassed that entire budget. So there was nothing left to do. Any type of plumbing, bathroom, no electrical, no AC, nothing like that. Not even the lift that I want to put in. So everything else that I do is above that budget. Yeah, I don't have a Volkswagen bus at the moment. Matter of fact, I sold my VW camper in part to pay part of this garage. Yeah, just to give you some perspective, this building was $28,000. That's how much the building was. And it could have been bought a lot cheaper if I didn't get the lean-to on it. I custom designed this. I wanted to make it kind of look like an old gas station. I had to change the design a couple of times really to accommodate the land here. Like I said, we're out in the country. We're on a septic system. I'm actually standing on top of the drain field here. I would have loved to have been able to have a straight access here from the road right through to the back. However, I can't drive over the septic, so we're having to enter on the other side. And then because of that huge oak tree over there, I wanted to keep the building as far over as I could away from that tree and still kind of tucked behind the house. So property line is probably about here, edge of the property. And then in the back, we have setbacks here in this county in Florida that's 5 feet from the property line. I believe the building is about 6 feet from the property line in the back. Yeah, Hassan, it depends on who you go with too. Like if you want a true commercial type building, like a red iron, those are quite expensive. They are definitely the most durable though. You've got welded iron beams, and we're talking a heavy duty structure that's gonna last for a long time. Buildings like this, I say they're glorified sheds. That's pretty much what they are. And depending on what options you do, thicker metal. This is a whole lot of extra expense that you can make. Keep in mind, you know, other than the main welded beams, these buildings are screwed together. They're not bolted together. They're screwed together, which is kind of crazy. I thought about maybe if I was feeling so inclined to go back and actually weld the joints together through here. And who knows, maybe I'll do that one day. I don't know. But I do have friends around the country who have built shops, and just the prices of things are so radically different from state to state. Hope you can hear me talking when they're cutting. It is quite loud. I'm trying to stay back. Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first started shopping for the building, and it's been over 2 years, I had prices all over the place, and it was so difficult. There's so many people, so many buildings. Yeah. Being that you're up north, you have to deal with the snow loads on buildings, which we don't have down here in Central Florida. You know, we just have to worry about the hurricanes. That's the only thing. You know, for the most part, my property is pretty protected by trees. We do get some wind coming through the back, but a lot of times when the hurricanes come, we get most of the wind going the side. Last year we had the tops of these trees back here break off. Nothing hit the house though. We're very fortunate, but our entire neighborhood, every street was blocked by downed trees. Yeah, so snow load for you guys up north. Got to worry about the roof pitch. Not so much here. We just have to worry about wind. Do you know, are you considering a metal building like this, Hassan, or are you wanting to do like a red iron building? Yeah, I want to say when I was doing quotes originally, a red iron building, just a plain, I'm trying to think back now, because I originally was looking at just a plain 30 by 50 building, no lean-to, nothing out of the ordinary. And I wanted to say those buildings were less than 20 grand. And when I was checking the red iron buildings, they were probably minimum double, maybe almost triple the price. So yeah, I can see probably now what they're quoting you. Maybe that's what it is nowadays, because everything's gotten really crazy since COVID. You know, this probably the biggest impact for me was concrete. When I was originally getting quotes, people were quoting me around 10 grand for concrete, which I thought was kind of expensive back then. But then when it was time to actually pour the concrete after I purchased the building, I got quotes anywhere from $17,000 to almost $40,000. Yeah, and I would say, you know, if you're doing this for your business, and I'm not a tax guy, but you know, that's a business expense that you can write off. So, depending on your situation, talk to your tax person about it and find out. Because you may be able to go with a better quality building and write that off, you know, as a business expense. then you have something that's going to last through everything. Are you planning on building this on your own personal property, or do you work out of your house, or do you have a separate place? Yeah, again, this isn't a business for me. It's just a hobby shop for me to be able to store my cars and work on them instead of having to work in the driveway. Actually, I'll walk around the front of the house and I'll show you the cars out here. Things are kind of moved around a little bit. As you can see there, that's a 73 Beetle I'm working on. That's the newest project. Got that prior to the hurricane, and haven't had a whole lot of time to do work to it. Doing a little bit here and there. I've been off all this week on vacation because I have to be here when they build this building. That's the one thing about the steel buildings, is they need you on site because they're going to ask you to confirm different things. So you have to make sure you got time. And for you, if you're running a business, that may be very difficult to do. This crew that's working only speaks Spanish too. So if I don't know in your area if they have an English-speaking crews, but that's something to keep in mind. I'm using a Google Translate app to talk to them. This car you're looking at here, this is a 1996 Volkswagen Polo Harlequin, or Harlequin as they call it in Germany. This car came from the factory, 4 colors like this. Unfortunately, normally it stays in the house garage, but it broke down and I've been trying to fix it, and I've had a lot of problems. I think I have some wiring issues going on. This Beetle here, this one's named Ocho. This one's been featured a lot on the channel. Bought it last year as a lowrider and turned it into an off-road car. This is a 1997 Beetle from Mexico. Legally imported. You can import, same thing with this one, once they hit 20. They came from Bulgaria, shipped from Belgium here to the US. And that's my Chevy truck. And winter killed all our grass. We have weeds here. I was gonna mow, but I can't find my mower key. So that's another fun thing. These weeds are all flower weeds. Actually, we get a lot of butterflies here. That's why I haven't cut them down, because they were all blooming. Look really pretty. Yeah, I have another VW in the garage as well. Yeah, that's good if you got an existing lot to build on. Yeah, there was a couple of things here. One of the issues we had with the building, they sent the wrong door. I ordered a door with a window, and they sent this 6-panel door without the window. Not really a big deal. When I do have a window, it's going to be right there. But that's the only issue that we've had so far here. What do you think about the colors, the white and the black? You like that? Matches the house, which is why I went with those colors. We also designed this, adding the lean-to. Originally, I kind of flipped the building too, because the office side was on that side originally. But because of me wanting to put that door in the side, it wouldn't have made sense to have the lift over here and a door there. And I can't drive over here because of the septic. It would have been impossible to drive around there and pull in. So I flipped the building. I originally was just going to do a lean-to over the front office area to make it look like more of a classic service station look. But then I figured, I'm going to have friends over. We got family come over. We like to, do celebrations and family events, and how nice would it be to build a lean-to completely across the front end That way, we got extra parking, and we also have a place for entertaining outside. You know, nice shady areas. And probably going to do some fun things like drive-in movies out here. The way this building is going to be designed, the roof is going to be a little bit lower here in the front of the lean-to on this side, over the office, because I'm planning on putting a sign, the name of the garage on here, which I still haven't decided on yet, but that'll come. We'll be getting that in there. Yeah, I'm hoping the white paneling will definitely help keep the building cooler here in Florida. It's also going to have black trim on the edges. Kind of looks like an old Western store where the roof panel is not cut yet. Kind of funny looking. We're pretty much surrounded by woods over here. Right there. We had so much rain, saturated the ground, and the winds pushed down a lot of trees. This one is here in the woods. It's actually hanging onto another tree that's sitting there. See, we have a lot of huge oak trees here. It's nice having all the woods around us. Makes it kind of peaceful. Do you have any more questions for me, Hassan? I think I'm going to end this live stream for now and get back to doing some car work. The day's already wasted away. I'm 2 hours in. I haven't started anything on the cars yet. Just been working on the computer. Planning some events. Actually, this was just my backyard here. This house was built, you know, we weren't the original owners. So this was just plain grass back there. Didn't have to do any land clearing. The only thing I had to do was bring in somebody with the truck and dirt to build up the property since it's built. Yeah, if I can help you in any way, feel free to reach out. My email is attached to my profile, which you can send me an email if you have questions. I'll be happy to send anything I can on, you know, if you're interested in this building company. I'm sure they have representatives in your state. But again, I don't think they offer red iron at all. I think it's just a regular metal like you see here. But I wish you the best, and when you get yours built, send me an email, send me some pictures. But I'll be doing more videos. I'll post some more lives today. I usually try to do 2 or 3 during the day while they're working on it here. And pictures, I'll have a whole ton of stuff up once the project is done, once the building is up. Of course, I'll do videos. But I hope you have a great day, everybody who's watching. And appreciate the conversation, Hassan. Thanks so much for your time. Enjoy your day.